Hello everyone, this is Caterina from the University of Bologna. In this short video, we will see what participation and inclusion meant in the activation of rural innovation ecosystems, the RIEs, and how these two principles shaped collaborative processes among diverse rural actors. As you've learned in this module, active participation and inclusion, including gender equity, are core principles of the RURACTIVE methodology. These values guide the entire process and are intentionally built into every step to ensure that no one is left behind. Particular attention is given to social groups that have historically been excluded or underrepresented in rural decision-making processes, including young people, older people, people with disabilities, migrants and minorities, the long-term unemployed, LGBTQA+ individuals, and others. There is also a strong focus on women and their essential role in the development and long-term sustainability of rural areas. Now, let's take a look at how some rural communities that have already applied the RURACTIVE methodology approach participation and inclusion in practice. Let's begin with step 0 of the methodology, looking at RIE sites. Oulu in Finland selected the central community houses of different villages, using multiple multifunctional venues already connected to community life. Südburgenland, Austria, held some activities in an historical location that is also barrier-free, easily accessible, and equipped with technical infrastructure. Zakarpattia, Ukraine, selected 2 spaces, including the tasting room of a well-known local initiative, providing a vibrant and community-rooted atmosphere. Borghien, in Italy, identified several sites, including a community emporium, a welcoming space used by both locals and visitors. Let's move on now to step 1 and 2 and take a closer look at the local task force. Here you can see the local task force of Zakarpattia, Ukraine, a highly motivated and diverse group that includes 4 men and 4 women, ensuring gender balance, and members from selected groups at risk of exclusion: young people, older people, and internally displaced people. Another strong example is Fiastra Valley in Italy. The local task force includes a mix of representatives of institutions, organizations, and groups at risk of exclusion, such as people with disabilities and young people. More than 60% of the local task force members are women. Now, let's move on to step 3, stakeholders empowerment, and take a look at the RURACTIVE local workshops. It's important to remember that ensuring broad engagement requires active outreach and targeted communication. Good facilitation is equally important, helping all participants feel heard and confident to return for future activities. Here you can see moments from local workshop 1 held in Zakarpattia and Val di Fiastra. Across all 12 communities, more than 200 people participated, with a majority identifying as women. Young people were the most represented, followed by people with disabilities and the long-term unemployed. This is a really encouraging result, showing just how important it is to foster inclusive engagement right from the very start of the co-development process. RIE communities came together again in local workshop 2, learning from others. Here you can see images from the workshops held in northeast Scotland and Oulu. Across all communities, more than 240 people participated, and almost half had already taken part in the first workshop, showing strong ongoing engagement. There was a slight prevalence of participants identifying as men, while young people remained the most represented group at risk of exclusion, followed by people with disability and the long-term unemployed. Finally, you see here moments from local workshop 3, fine-tuning, as it was held in Südburgenland and in Gotland. Across all communities, over 200 people participated. There was a balance between participants identifying as females and males. Young people were again the most represented, followed by the long-term unemployed and LGBTQA+ individuals. Fewer participants returned from previous workshops this time due to the structure of the activities, which required a more targeted outreach. By recognizing inclusion and participation as guiding principles from the very start, rural communities can ensure that co-created solutions are not only inclusive, but also sustainable over time, supported by a community that feels listened to and involved in every step. Here you can see some of the local action plans, which collected the results of the co-development process as well as the solutions. I hope these highlights on the collaborative processes among diverse rural actors have been enriching. I wish you a wonderful journey ahead. Thank you for following along, and feel free to reach out via email if you have any further questions.